Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I am currently recording this about half an hour before the last episode goes live, so I haven't seen your comments about the button in the tracking station yet. Yes, I am an idiot. Yes, there is a button in here that you press to track. We're going to grab, I think it was, what asteroid was it? This one. We're going to track this asteroid. And now we're going to fly this spacecraft here. It's on an escape trajectory out of Kerbal, and that is absolutely fine. So we're going to hop over here, and then we're just going to do an intercept with this asteroid. Timing is probably a little bit awkward, but that is okay. We're not in any particular hurry for right now, so that'll be good. We can go ahead and warp to, let's see, that's 15 days in the future. We'll warp 11 days in the future to exit Kerbal. Fantastic. And off we go. This thing is very heavy, that is for sure. We're going to need to set our tracked asteroid as our target. There we go. And we actually have a reasonably close intercept here, but we're going to ignore this. There is, like, if we were to try to get this closer, I think that that's just not going to be great. We actually have another Kerbal escape over here, so we have another Kerbal encounter. Okay, that's awkward. But at this ascending node over here, we're just going to change our inclination. So that'll be up over this way. We'll add in 16 years. What? Oh, this is the wrong orbit here. It's this one. That's Kerbal. I want to create a maneuver here. Apparently I can't. It's just wanting to select Kerbal. Oh, it's this one? Way out here? Right. That's the one we're looking for. Okay, so that actually changed the ascending node. That's a little awkward. Ascending node's like over here. And then we're going to need to do something kind of like this. That'll do. Okay, we'll get set up for that. We'll get turned to it. And we will begin our very long time warp. That'll be absolutely fine. Also, I just heard a bit of thunder outside a bit ago, so if you hear any thunder through the mic, you shouldn't in theory, but if you hear any, it appears to be thundering, and also, if my power goes out, there might be an abrupt cut. We'll see. If that happens, things could get exciting. We'll have to see what goes on with that. If that happens, I may just restart the episode, and maybe you won't even see any of this. But in theory, it probably won't happen. So, our power is usually fairly stable. We've got about 30 seconds until this inclination change. And there we go. So we're going to burn off this stage here. And off we go with our maneuvering stage. Cool. So this is our current intersect, apparently. This is probably close enough. Negative 0.4. Okay, that's a little awkward. So, up over here, we could alter it a bit more, I guess. Definitely having some awkwardness going on. That would do the trick. That's only 62 meters per second. So, let's head on over there. And I guess we'll do that. So, we'll warp to this. We're in physics warp right now. Let's not be in physics warp, and let's go into time warp. Perfect. So this intersect has gotten a little bit closer. That's not too bad. We could try to make that even closer. Now, our relative speed is 218.6 meters per second. We might want to wait until we get to that intersect and kill our relative speed, rather than try to burn closer. We'll see what happens after this descending node here, but we can't really set up a maneuver for burning towards target. So we'll probably want to do that. Okay, 7 seconds here until this burn. And now. Probably close enough. That's definitely close enough. Yes. Okay, so what are we looking at now? Okay, so up here, we would want to burn a retrograde, but we want to burn a target retrograde. And that would be about 250 meters per second. Actually, what would the relative speed here be? 218.7. Okay, so we don't actually care about the direction of this node. We're only using this node for timing here. 218.7 is what we're looking for. That's 216.5. There we go. 218.7, and we will warp to that timing. We don't care about the direction of this node. All we want to do is kill our relative velocity relative to this asteroid. Okay, so that burn will be in about a minute here. We'll physics warp as we get aligned for it. And we'll regular warp a bit. And let's burn. We've got plenty of delta V in this to get this done. So we can see the asteroid is a bit ahead of us right now. That's fine. Oh, we're burning prograde right now. We overshot. Let's flip that around. I wasn't paying attention. That's my own fault. Absolutely. And we're going to need 45 meters per second. It's not like we're short on delta V in this thing. Okay. Let's hop over here and get that last little bit done. Okay, that's close enough. And now let's flip over to target. And we're going to try to do a bit of a get closer here. So we can see we're going to be about 40 kilometers apart. And let's push that on out. Okay. That's only 1,000 kilometers? This is going up over here. It's kind of jumping around weirdly. Okay, it's going down. 1,500 kilometers. And then it jumps over here. Okay. That's very strange that it's jumping around like that, but I guess let's just go to here and call this good. So once again, we're going to need to burn target retrograde once we arrive around here. We'll go ahead and warp there. That's in 16 days. We'll not physics warp it. We'll time warp it. Okay. We don't see the asteroid yet. We're still a very long ways away from it. We are currently a distance of about 30 million meters. So that's exciting stuff. But this is going to be about 1,300 kilometers away. Okay. I feel like it was closer previously. But I also feel like that was maybe a bit buggy. I don't know. It's a little wild. But we'll kill our relative speed here, and we'll do a get closer burn. Okay. About 4 meters per second to go. 221.5 kilometers. That's pretty close. Okay, we'll call this good enough, and let's burn towards target, but very gently. Yeah, this'll do, I think. I hope. 91 kilometers. Okay, we need to thrust limit this engine. We're going to thrust limit this down to 10% thrust. There we go. So about 10 kilometers appears to be the closest we can get. Sounds good. What if we were to pull this up over this way slightly so that our prograde is pointing even closer? Okay, that's pulling it back. So we're going to flip back around to retrograde then. And we're going to bring this back to that 10 kilometers. Okay, that's not what we wanted. Back to target, not to prograde. There we go. That should do the trick, in theory. Yes. So we're going to bring this as close to like 10 kilometers as we can, but we're losing efficiency here. Okay, this is about what we've got, so that'll do. That is 10 kilometers away. So we're going to head up over this way. Relative speed of only 2.1 meters per second. We're going to warp up here. That's only 33 days. At this point, we should be quite close to the asteroid. I don't see it yet. It should be basically ahead of us, and we are currently catching up to it. Okay. So that'll be fine. We've got about 20 days more in this time warp. This time warp feels like it's going slow. I don't know. Yeah, now it's 20 days. It definitely feels slow. We're on the second highest speed. I mean, sure. And we can see that the distance to this asteroid is dropping. We are down to about 600 kilometers. 500 kilometers. 400 kilometers. 300. 200. 100 kilometers away. We can now see it over here. Perfect. So we're going to flip around to target retrograde. And what's our closest approach? Our closest approach is 11.5 kilometers. So we're going to go ahead and warp to about, if I can actually get a warp here. Warp to about here. That's another day into the future. And we can see that we are 45 kilometers away. Make that 40. 30. Okay, we can definitely see we're coming in above it, and that is completely fine. And this is about the closest we're going to get, so we're just going to kill this relative speed here. Yes, our engine is heavily thrust limited. There's no doubt about that. Okay, now we're going to point towards the target. Physics warp as we head in. And we're going to head in at, what kind of speed are we looking for? I don't know. For now, let's just bring this in to be like 6.8. One kilometer distance is about the best we've got from this angle. Okay, that'll do. And we will eventually flip around to anti-target, which is basically target retrograde. We're only moving at 0.4 meters per second, but that's acceptable. We can't lock to target retrograde right now, but we can do it manually. Cool. We'll warp forward about another day. And that puts us about a kilometer apart. So we'll kill our relative speed and point towards target. There we go. Pointing towards target. Approximately. Yeah, that's towards target. Good. And we'll head in at about 1 meter per second. So that is 1 meter per second now. Okay, what are we looking at for a separation? 0.0 kilometers. Okay. So we can arm our advanced grabbing unit. Those photovoltaic panels may end up dying. We'll see. It'd be very awkward if they did, but this is mostly just a pathfinding mission, right? To figure out how we're going to do this sort of thing. That's all we're looking for here. So we'll definitely want RCS in the future. We'll want the solar panels to be mounted up higher. That's for sure as well. But our advanced grabbing unit is now armed, and for now we're going to want to warp in about 15 minutes. Five more minutes to go. And we can see, I think, that we're going to be missing. That's fine. For the time being, I want to continue to warp in. Okay. We're going to hop over to anti-target for now. That's close enough to retrograde for the time being. Okay, back to SAS, or rather just stability assist, and we will position up over this way. And we need to change our trajectory here a bit. I would normally do this with RCS thrusters and just alter our existing trajectory rather than wiping it and resetting it, but we don't have RCS on this flight. So that's fine. We'll warp in a little further here. And this is about the closest we're going to get. I overshot slightly. So we're going to need to physics warp around. Okay. We'll park here. And 0.0. Cool. We'll now point at target. I think we're still drifting upwards a little bit, but we're going to move in ever so gently here. 0.8 meters per second is good. And this orientation of the solar panels is better than it could have been. We'll see. Do we manage to grab it? I think so. We may lose the solar panels here. If so, that's a lesson that we can learn. Hey, there we go. We grabbed it. The solar panels didn't break. Shockingly. This one's blocked, of course. This one is awkward. But there we go. We have attached to this asteroid. We can see that the mass of this asteroid is about 5 tons. And one thing I wouldn't mind doing is, like, attempting to crash this asteroid into Luna. Realistically, what would that look like? We'd need to change the ascending node 1.2 degrees here, so we need to burn anti-normal. How much would that end up taking? Not that much. Okay. That would be doable. We need to maneuver this thing, which is complicated, but it's only 5 tons. That shouldn't be too bad. I think crashing this into the surface of the moon is eminently doable. Looks like the solar panels clip right through the asteroid. That's good to know, but I doubt we'll do anything with that. But let's just go ahead and warp over to this normal burn. That'll be absolutely fine. And, I mean, as far as an intercept goes, we're going to get one eventually on this orbit, just by default. The question is, how long would it end up taking? The answer, probably a while. Well, it might not be by default, actually. We've got several orbits going on here. I'm not sure exactly what our periapsis here is. We probably don't get one by default, now that I think about it. But it's close. So we're going to warp forward a few seconds here. There we go. And we can see how many resources there are here. 80% of this could be refined into fuel. But let's get this burn done. Oh, we should probably unthrust limit this. There we go. We'll start that burn in about 2 minutes. Cool. So with that unthrust limited, we will definitely be a lot better off. What is our thrust to weight here? 0.42, and this thrust to weight would be 0.02? Fair enough. Okay. We're having a bit of a hard time holding attitude with it. That's likely because we're not exactly locked onto the center of mass. Okay. It's mostly just SAS that's struggling, though. I can do this kind of manually. Yeah, that's not terrible manually. Okay, we'll just try to hold it here and time warp to stop that tumble. And at this point, what is that looking like? 0.0, good enough. So if we were to add a retrograde burn around here, this would be a pretty spicy burn. That would get us an encounter. That's actually 433 meters per second. What would that encounter end up looking like? Hey, Kerbal, what do you got going on here? Reasonably non-terrible. A hypothetical retrograde burn here for crashing this into the moon. Would this crash? Not quite. We'd need to alter this hypothetical retrograde, but it'd be very close to crashing into the moon, and that would be 1220.8 meters per second. We don't quite have that amount of delta V, so we would want to try to find a slightly more efficient encounter here for what we're going for. If I can delete this maneuver node. Apparently I can't. There we go. So we'd want to find a slightly more efficient encounter here for this. Where's our maneuver node? There it is. Hello. 433 meters per second, and we would impact the moon pretty hard there. I don't hate that. That seems quite doable. We just kind of clip it like this. Seems good. We'll align for that maneuver. Physics warp as we turn. And we'll have plenty of delta V to make this happen. We can even accelerate it into the moon if we want to. So that would be great. We'll align for this burn, and this is going to burn out most of this tank here. Okay. Let's warp to it. And when would this encounter be? Hard to read. Okay, that's not too bad. That's about a year. That's not too bad at all. So let's get this ready to go. And hopefully we'll get some seismic readings off of it. Like I said, this is just a Pathfinder mission. And this seems to be a good one. Got some nice asteroid redirection going on here. Granted, it's a very small asteroid, to be sure. But 58 seconds here, and we will prepare for that burn. Now it's going to be slightly late, and also a very, very lengthy burn, because once we burn this all out, this is going to be a lot of burn time. So what I think I'm going to do is we're just going to go through this burn as is, and then I'll go through this time warp as well. And then once we are done with this burn here, I'll pause the video and we'll come back when we are closer to impacting the moon, because this is going to be a pretty uneventful, like, I don't know, 10 minutes here. So that's definitely something to think about. So we will get rid of this. I wonder what this will do to our asteroid control without gimbaling. We lose a lot of asteroid control here. I'm not super surprised about that one. Okay. We'll try to physics warp and make our way back. Spicy. We have very little asteroid control with just our reaction wheels. But it looks like we've got this under control now. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, this could be much more interesting than I thought it was going to be. We do have control until we fire up the engines, it seems like. And then we just kind of lose it, and I think that's because we're not really attached to the center of mass on this thing. Is my guess. Okay. So we position here, come out of physics warp, and we'll try a burn like this without physics warp. We may have to not use physics warp. No, we're just going to have to burn this pretty long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, like I said, and we'll come back to this when this burn is basically completed. See you in a bit. Okay, so a quick update here. I found that if we thrust limit the Dawn Electric Propulsion System to 1/3 thrust, it appears to be relatively stable at this point. Our reaction control system can handle that. And all we have here is the reaction wheel in the actual remote guidance unit. That's all we've got here. So we definitely need more if we want to control this. We know that for a fact. We're about done with this burn here, and I'm going to pause it again here in a moment because we know that we're going to have a pretty lengthy time warp. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will be right back in a moment, but I did want to tell you that I got that done. So this is much better at this point. Be back in a bit. Okay, and our time warp is nearly complete here, so let's head on in here as soon as the time warp autosave completes. There we go. Where are you, Kerbin? Ah, there's Kerbin. Quite a ways away still. So we are within the Kerbin sphere of influence at this point. I'm going to time warp in about another 2 days. There you can see our target. And here it comes. Fantastic. So we're going to hop into the moon sphere of influence. It's going to be in about half an hour. And I'm wondering if we're going to be... Actually, that's our current location of our experiment control unit. We may be too far away to actually pick up any science. Luckily, it doesn't matter. Our science is maxed out. I just want to crash this into the moon. Okay, we're now in space high over the moon's Midland craters, and we have this rocket, or rather this rock, good to go here. We're going to head over towards prograde. I'm going to physics warp for the time being. And how long before impact? Well, we can actually see here, it isn't thinking, oh, impact in 13 minutes. Okay, so we're going to warp in about 11 minutes here. There we go. And you can see here, we're going to impact fast. It's going to do a lot of damage, or not, because that's not how Kerbal Space Program works. But we're going to go ahead and begin accelerating at this point. We're about 2 minutes from impact. And we're going to physics warp as we burn in. We may or may not get any seismic data from this. We'll see. But we're going to add a new crater. I mean... if KSP, modeled that. I don't believe it does, but I want to know what happens here. So impact time is in about 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. In about 10 seconds. We're coming out of physics warp. Everything's going to go away here. This is all going to be destroyed. And that is exactly what we want. This was the goal. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Boom. Hey! Surface deployed seismic sensor. Generated 317% science. Yeah, I know that it's a catastrophic failure. Let's go back to the... It's not exactly a catastrophic failure. I would call that a catastrophic success. Let's go back to the Space Center. That was exactly what we wanted to do. And we are going to then hop over here. And I want to see how much of the data we actually got from that. But that was definitely what I would call an unqualified success on our asteroid interception, maneuvering, and being able to redirect the asteroid. That was fantastic. Setup 45%, sensor readings affected by impact energy 1697%. I'm not actually sure. We've also got this lighting bug going on, which is exciting, but it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we will start actual asteroid mining. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Rose Valentine, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.